Okay, so let's take a look on the passive voice. This is a big topic in English, big topic of grammar, really necessary after B2 for real life and for exam life. You need to know the basics and also some little details to make it more complicated. So let's start with it. Now, when do we use it? When do we need the passive in our real life? When the action is more important than the agent. When I want to call the attention to the action, to the result of something, and not the person or the entity who does it. I am looking for things of action. I am looking for the most important part of the sentence in the beginning. So that's where I'm going to put the passive. Also, when the agent is unknown, when I don't know who did it, when I think about people, when I think about they. So people think that. I don't need to say that. If I can use a passive, I can avoid this people think or everybody or they. Who are they? Also, it is more formal. When we are writing formal texts or even in speaking, a formal presentation, we will use passives a lot. It does give a sense of formality to the text. So what's the difference between active and passive? Let's see the structure. The first thing, the active one is always like this, right? Someone doing something. The doctors performed an important operation. We know that this is straightforward, but then when we put this to passive, we put that an important operation was performed by the doctors. So an important operation comes to the beginning and the doctors go to the end. What happens here? What do? We always have the same verb tense. And when I say same verb tense, what I'm thinking about is on the structure of the passive, there is always going to be to be plus a participle. So the verb to be is going to have the same verb tense as before. If performed was a past simple, was is a past simple. It happens to everything, even the most complex one. Present perfect. Everything is going to be the same verb tense always. Also, we have to add the by in the end. It's another change we do, but it is true that this object can be omitted. We don't need to put sometimes the by. For example, in this sentence, if I say an important operation was performed in the hospital and the patient is doing well, I don't need to say by the doctors because I know the operation was done by the doctors. I don't need to say that again. So it is not necessary to put the by the doctors part. What happens when a sentence has two objects? What I mean with two objects is something like this. Jill gave the money to her brother. I have two things that could go to the beginning of the text of this sentence. So what do? I can do both, and both sentences will have a different emphasis. So I can say that Jill's brother or her brother was given the money. So I'm calling the attention to the brother as a receiver of the money. Or I can say that the money was given to her brother. She gave him the money and not the house. In this case, I could put the by Jill in the end if it's not clear in the sentence. I use it also when I am reporting information. When I'm giving information, especially on the news and on information text, when I want to give ideas or opinions, when something is more impersonal. So things like it is said, it is thought, it is claimed, it is thought that we will leave our houses soon. It's the same as saying that people think, but now it is thought gives us this impersonal sentence to give opinions, to give ideas that are generalized. And now we go to the special type of passive, which is the have or get something done. That sometimes we study this separated, but I think it is easier when we see it with passives. So it's when something is done by someone else, but the subject arranges it. This sentence is terrible. This explanation is awful. But let's see the example. So when I say I'm going to have my hair cut after quarantine, totally necessary right now, but I'm not going to cut it myself. I will go to the hairdresser and have it cut. It's not that I am doing it. So when I say I am going to have my hair cut, I'm not doing it. Someone else is doing, but I am the one arranging this. I am the one going to the hairdresser and having it cut. Or I will get the report finished by tomorrow. This second one is really interesting because we use this a lot in business. We use a lot of work, because what I'm saying this when I say I'll get the report finished is because I have to go through a process that is not under my control. The time is going to be tomorrow and I cannot do it before. So I'll get the report finished by tomorrow. So the structure in this one is to have or to get something, and then the participle again. You see that it is a passive because the action is not done by the first agent. So just to finish, let's see 2 sentence transformations that could appear in an exam with passive. So in this one, has anyone ever recorded your voice? Something we're doing now a lot. So how would you do this? This is a passive. Has anyone ever recorded? In this case, we're going to use this to have something done. Have you ever had your voice recorded? So have you ever had your voice recorded by someone? But we don't need to say that. And the second one, we hired a professional photographer to take wedding photos. So we hired the professional photographer. But the second one, if we have the verb had and we, a professional photographer, we would put something like, we had our wedding photos taken by a professional photographer. This is the hardest you can get in an exam. Complicated passive with some verb tenses changes here. But this is what you could get in real life and also in the exam. Okay, so now probably you have more exercises to do. So take a look on this, record, watch again this recording and see how it goes.